To understand how satisfying my revenge was, you have to understand the illusion of my marriage. Greg and I had been married for 6 years. We met in our late 20s when we were both climbing the corporate ladder. I was a senior financial analyst, and Greg was an ambitious sales director at a logistics firm. We were the ultimate power couple. But 3 years into our marriage, my mother got sick. I made the difficult decision to step back from my high-stress corporate job and transition to remote freelance consulting so I could care for her. I took a massive pay cut, but Greg was totally supportive. "Don't worry, babe," he told me. "I've got us. I'll step up. You just focus on your mom." And for a while, he did. He got a promotion. He became the regional vice president. He was bringing in the big bucks, and he made sure I knew it. Over time, the dynamic in our house subtly shifted. Because he was the primary breadwinner, his time suddenly became more valuable than mine. His stress was more important than my stress. For the past year, he had been working insane hours. He was constantly putting out fires at the office. He missed our anniversary dinner because of an emergency client dinner. He missed Thanksgiving because of a quarter-end review. I did everything to support him. I cooked his favorite meals, managed the house, kept the property pristine, and managed all of our investments and credit cards. I wanted to make his life as easy as possible because I truly believed he was sacrificing his time for our future. A month ago, he came home looking incredibly stressed. He told me the company was sending him to Omaha to oversee a massive warehouse acquisition. "It's going to be absolute hell, Sarah," he sighed, rubbing his temples. 14-hour days in a windowless conference room, crappy motel food. I'm going to be completely off the grid for a lot of it. I packed his bags. I ironed his suits. I even bought him a new travel mug and a bag of his favorite gourmet coffee to take with him. I kissed him goodbye in the driveway and told him I loved him. He drove off to the airport on a Tuesday. By Wednesday night, I got the notification. Back to 2:14 a.m. in my bedroom. I stared at the name on the receipt. Mia Miller. Mia was Greg's new executive assistant. He had hired her about 8 months prior. She was 24, fresh out of college, and whenever Greg talked about her, it was always with this patronizing, annoyed tone. "Mia messed up the coffee again." Or, "Mia forgot to file the quarterly reports. I had to stay late to fix her mistakes." It was a classic textbook diversion tactic. He complained about her so much that I would never suspect he was actually sleeping with her. I didn't panic. My background is in financial analysis. My brain is wired to find data and follow the paper trail. I grabbed my laptop, opened it on the bed, and went to work. First, I checked his corporate flight itinerary, which he had forwarded to my email for his Omaha trip. The flight confirmation number looked totally normal. But when I went to the airline's website and typed in his confirmation code, the destination wasn't Omaha. He had booked a flight to Omaha, forwarded me the email, and then immediately canceled it for a flight credit. His real flight? First-class tickets to Barcelona, Spain. Then, I called the 24-hour customer service line for Silverseas Cruises. I put on my sweetest, most panicked voice. "Hi there, this is Sarah Davis. My husband Gregory just boarded the ship in Barcelona for his trip, but he forgot his blood pressure medication on the kitchen counter. I just need to confirm his cabin number so I can overnight it to your next port of call." The representative was so helpful. "Oh, no problem, Mrs. Davis. Let me pull that up. Yes, Mr. Davis and Ms. Miller are in the owner's suite on deck 10. They just checked in 3 hours ago. Their next port is Florence, Italy, on Friday." I thanked the woman and hung up. I sat in the dark, the blue light of the laptop illuminating my face. My husband wasn't eating stale bagels in a Nebraska conference room. He was drinking champagne on a balcony in the Mediterranean with a girl a decade younger than him, using a trip I helped pack for. I didn't cry. The sadness evaporated almost instantly. What replaced it was a cold, calculated, and terrifying clarity. They were on a 10-day cruise. That meant I had exactly 9 days to dismantle his entire life before he stepped foot back on American soil. At 8 a.m. on Thursday, I was sitting in the office of the most ruthless divorce attorney in the city. Her name was Helen, and she did not play games. I handed her the printed spreadsheets of our assets, the cruise receipts, and the fake flight itineraries. Because we lived in a state with equitable distribution, and because I was the one who managed the accounts, Helen gave me a beautiful piece of legal advice on how to secure the cash before he could drain it to pay for his new lifestyle. By noon, I was at the bank. I legally transferred exactly 50% of all our liquid assets from our joint checking and savings accounts into a new, private account solely in my name. Then came the credit cards. Here is the fatal flaw in Greg's master plan. He had used the American Express Platinum card to pay for the cruise and his onboard expenses. It was the card with the highest limit. But what Greg apparently forgot was that the Amex was opened under my name and my credit score years ago, when his credit was terrible. He was just an authorized user. I called American Express. I didn't cancel the card. No, that would be too simple. I reported his specific authorized user card as lost. When you report a card as lost, the company instantly deactivates the physical card, but keeps the account open for the primary user. I knew exactly what this meant. Cruise ships operate on a cashless system. You link a credit card to your room key. When you buy drinks, book massages, or do offshore excursions, they charge the card on file at the end of the trip. If the card declines midway through, they lock your account and freeze your onboard privileges until you provide a new payment method. By Friday evening, Greg was somewhere off the coast of Italy. At 6 p.m., my phone buzzed. Incoming call. Greg. I let it go to voicemail. 5 minutes later, a text came through. Hey babe, service is terrible in Omaha. Having an issue with the Amex, they said my card is locked? Could you call the bank? Stressful day at the warehouse. Miss you. I smiled, took a sip of my wine, and typed back. Oh no, I'll call them right now. Hang in there. Love you. I didn't call anyone. For the next 4 days, my phone blew up. Greg became increasingly frantic. He tried to use his corporate card, but according to a text he sent me, his company had flagged the foreign transactions and frozen it because he was supposed to be in Nebraska. He was trapped in the middle of the ocean, in an ultra-luxury suite, with a 24-year-old girl who expected to be pampered, and he had exactly $0 to his name. While Greg was having a meltdown in Europe, I was busy at home. I packed up everything that belonged to him: his designer suits, his golf clubs, his expensive watches. I boxed it all up and rented a cheap 10 by 10 storage unit on the outskirts of town. I hired a locksmith to change every single lock on the house. Since the house was purchased by me before we got married, it was legally my separate property. He had no legal right to enter without my permission. On day 10, the day he was scheduled to fly back from Barcelona, I left a single envelope taped to the front door. Inside was the key to his storage unit, a copy of the divorce petition, and a printed photo of the $12,450 cruise receipt. I wasn't home. I was sitting at a beautiful outdoor cafe 2 miles away, drinking an iced latte, tracking him on the Find My Friends app, which he had completely forgotten to turn off. At exactly 4:15 p.m., his little blue dot pulled into our driveway. I waited. 2 minutes later, my phone started ringing violently. I answered on the fourth ring. Sarah, he screamed. He sounded utterly unhinged. What the hell is going on? My key doesn't work. Where is all my stuff? What is this envelope? I took a slow, calm sip of my latte. How was Omaha, Greg? I asked smoothly. Did you enjoy the warehouse? The line went completely dead silent. All I could hear was his heavy, panicked breathing. I can explain, he stammered, the arrogance completely draining from his voice. Sarah, please, open the door. Let me explain. It was a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash, I replied softly. Booking a 10-day Mediterranean cruise with your assistant on my credit card is a choice you made while looking me dead in the eye. Sarah, please. My cards are frozen. I had to borrow money from Mia to pay for our taxi from the airport. I have nothing. You have a storage unit, I reminded him. And you have a lawyer to hire. Oh, and by the way, I sent a courtesy email to your company's HR department this morning. I thought they should know that their regional VP expensed a fake domestic flight so he could take his subordinate to Europe on company time. I didn't wait for his response. I just pressed end call. The fallout was catastrophic for him. By Monday morning, Greg was officially fired for gross misconduct and misuse of company funds. Because he violated the company's fraternization policy and lied about his location, they denied him his severance package. Mia dumped him 2 weeks later. It turns out, a 24-year-old girl who wants a sugar daddy loses interest very quickly when the sugar daddy is unemployed, living in a cheap rental apartment and drowning in legal fees. The divorce was swift. Because I had the paper trail of his infidelity and his financial misuse, his lawyer advised him to settle quickly before I took him to the cleaners in a public trial. He walked away with a fraction of what he thought he was entitled to. It's been a year since that 2 a.m. notification changed my life. My freelance business took off. I have complete peace of mind, a beautiful home, and absolutely zero dead weight dragging me down. Society tells women that if we get cheated on, we should cry, we should ask why, and we should wonder what we did wrong. But I'm here to tell you, never waste your tears on a man who respects you so little that he thinks you're stupid. When they show you who they are, believe them. And then, use your brain, keep your emotions in check, and take back everything that belongs to you. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If this resonated with you, or if you love a good karma story, hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories. Stay strong, know your worth, and I'll see you in the next one.